Get through this one. Do not walk like the Gentiles. So he's reading.
So this I say, and I affirm together with the Lord, that you walk no longer just as the Gentiles also walk, in the futility of their mind, being darkened in their understanding, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart. And they, having become calloused, have given themselves over to sensuality for the practice of every kind of impurity with greediness.
All right. So I say this and I affirm together with the Lord. That brought me up short. Struck me as overworking the verb, like the Romine. But on looking it up, I think it could even be stronger. I bring forward a witness with the Lord. I needed to take out one of those prepositions. Sorry. I reread this 3 times and I've overread that preposition. How might he bring forward the Lord as a witness? Now I know this isn't the only thing, but I shouldn't have said he must have. He most probably heard the apostles tell of how the master had rebuked the disciples' self-serving attitude. You remember that? Who wants to read this? Darlene, you got the microphone? Oh.
Jesus called them to himself and said, "You know that the ruler of the Gentiles lord it over them, and great men exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Matthew 20.
All right, so essentially, you know how the Gentiles do it. They like to lord it over everybody. No longer walk just as the Gentiles did in the futility of their mind, having given themselves over to sensuality, a practice of every kind of impurity with greediness. They're callous. They don't care about others. So maybe that's what Paul is saying. Our master has said this as well. I have his testimony that this is, I don't know. He didn't put it in here. The Gentiles also walk in the futility of their mind. So this word needs a little exploration. So futility, vanity. It's the word used in the LXX to translate the hevel of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to read through this quickly. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. That's Hevel Havalim, Omar Kohelet, Hevel Havalim, Akol Hevel. So we could say futility of futility, says the preacher. Futility of futilities, all is futility. We could say, as my teacher at University of Wisconsin wanted to translate this in his book on Kohelet, absurdity of absurdity, says the preacher. Absurdity of absurdities, all is absurdity. And then he goes on to, what's he mean by that? What advantage does a man have in all his work which he does under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Also, the sun rises, the sun sets, and hastening to its place, it rises there again. The wind continues swirling along, and on its circular courses the wind returns. To the place where the rivers flow, there they flow again. All the rivers flow into the sea, and yet the sea is not full. To the place where the rivers flow, there they flow again. All things are wearisome. So, yeah, it's I get up, I go to work, I come home, I go to bed. I get up, I go to work, I come home, I go to bed. What is it? There's nothing in this humdrum life that interests me except trying to find some self-gratification. What is the problem? Let's try the diagram. Let's try another crude diagram of this long sentence. So here we go. We're not worrying a great deal about, so this I say, I affirm together with the Lord, that you may no longer walk just as the Gentiles also walk. So how do they walk? in the futility of their minds, not seeing that there's anything that's really of any value other than what they want. The futility of their minds is because being darkened in their understanding, being alienated from the life of God. What's that? Being alienated because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their hearts. He's paralleling things. Now it goes back to the Gentiles, who, having become callous, and now we're getting the main part of the clause, have given themselves over to sensuality for the practice of every kind of impurity. I don't know if this, with greediness, I don't know, that maybe should go back. Having given themselves with greediness over to sensuality for every practice of impurity. But since Paul put it at the end of the sentence, I thought, well, maybe that's what he was talking about, is the way, the way the action, what really drives this practice of impurity is greediness. So, complicated sentence, but profound. Does it describe anybody that you know? Yeah. How should we begin to deal with a person who walks this way? Oops, I hit the wrong one. I said, here's the problem. The futility of their minds, being darkened in their understanding, being alienated from God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their hearts. Here's the result. They've given themselves over to sensuality, to the practice of every kind of impurity. What was at the heart of the problem? Filthy in my, I don't need to step through these again one by one. So I just put those back up. The futility of the mind, being darkened in the understanding, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart. How does Paul challenge this despondency that pushes one to seek self-gratification? Any comments on this? See, there's my little note that I should be able to have down below where you guys can't see it. See the next section.
I just think that the real heart of the matter is they're alienated from God. In our society now, that's the crux of the problem.
Exactly.
They're alienated from God.
Yes.
Everything thus pours out afterwards. The sensuality, the being, just everything. Everything evil pours out because you
What preceded alienated from God?
darkened in their
Understanding. And alienated because of the ignorance that is in them, because they don't understand that they have a creator to whom they're accountable. Because of the hardness of their hearts.